Okay, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the Geisha Night that my dad and I went to. If it sounds weird to call it a Geisha Night, I apologize, I guess. In this case, we actually met a Maiko who was, I believe she was 17, so she was really young. She'd only been training as a Maiko for about a year. But we will, of course, get into more detail about her in this video. There was parts that I wasn't able to film, like the start of the introduction of the different types of clothes that she was wearing, and the actual description of her. I don't believe I was able to film, but for the most part, I was able to film every single thing else. And by wasn't able to film, I mean I didn't have my camera out at the time, and they just started talking about her. I'm like, oh, wait, oh no. Either way, it was cool. So yeah, let's talk about again, still June 6th. In Kyoto, the Geisha Night. So, at Yasukadori and Raku, we were greeted at entry and took our shoes off, of course. After witnessing one of the hosts falling down the stairs. No, I did not get video footage of it, because I wasn't filming that. But she was alright. They have this really, big bow on their back, which ties up their kimono rather nicely, and she conveniently fell on that and went down the stairs and she was fine. So after witnessing that, we took our rest. We took our seat. Which of course were the cushions on the floor, so very traditional. And we're actually right next to where the geisha ended up performing, the Maiko ended up performing, which was very nice. We were introduced to the events and the food of the night, so they had actually a set of booklets there, so I took some pictures of the booklets, or maybe just the one picture just telling you all the different foods that we'd be eating that night. And then the host talked to us individually, where, because there were groups, about 5 groups of us there were 6 different tables, but there were only 5 groups. But we had 2 hosts, one who was originally Brazilian, one who came from Japan but had studied in, I think, America for a bit, so she had quite an American accent. Either way, and there was a 3rd host as well. Those 2 hosts talked to you. The other one actually introduced the geisha and talked about her and all that kind of stuff. So they would talk to you about the night and would ask you questions about yourself and all that kind of stuff, which is quite nice. And they of course explain the structure of the evening. So firstly, we met our hosts as the various meals were provided. Secondly, the Maiko, a 17-year-old girl, came out and danced, and this is her dance here. Hopefully I don't have to cut out any of the music audio from that because of copyright reasons. I don't think I would need to, hopefully not. But yes, a lot of this stuff went for quite a good period of time. So then we were actually introduced to the details about the Maiko, which I don't think I was able to. I ended up filming, which I apologize for that. But it just described how she's 17. She had wanted to be a Maiko for a few years, and originally she had to argue with her parents about it because she ended up having to drop out of school to do it. But her mother ended up agreeing, and then her father, of course, ended up agreeing. Also, her sisters, I think she may have mentioned later in the video, but she does have two sisters, and they didn't really care. But yeah, because of course being a Maiko and being a geisha in total means that you don't really get to see your family. Like, all you really get to talk to are the people that you're geishas with, and sometimes you get recruited into like a family, a geisha family kind of thing, like a tribe, if you will, I guess, where they would give you a certain type of ornaments and stuff, and teach you how to be a geisha, and even have a particular type of like belt ornament, which she goes into later in the next clip and details her clothing. But for the most part, yeah, it's rather like, it's a nice thing. I still find it kind of weird because it's like, you're dedicating your life to one thing. It's kind of like, my dad described it as like being a nun. Like, you're always in this one kind of dress. You don't go out very much and whatever. And even the geisha, even the Maiko, said that the only time she really goes out is when she goes shopping, and that's sometimes if they have time off, which is quite rarely. So it's kind of a very strict thing. And of course, you could say like, oh, I watched that, like, or read that Geisha book, or film, whatever it's called, Memoirs of a Geisha, which isn't, completely accurate to the actual story, but the point being is that you can quit being a geisha, but you're not allowed to return, and you're allowed to quit if you, have fallen in love or want to get married and whatever. So, yeah, I'll show you the clip of her describing the kimono and the makeup design.
So you might be wondering why her face is really painted white, and this is because back in the days when we didn't have electricity, so they had to paint the face white in order to be seen more clearly, even under the dim light of the candles. And as a Michael, there's 3 primary colors, that is white, red, and black. So you can see her eyeshadows and her lipstick, they're painted really red, but if you look closely you can see her eyebrows are painted red as well. And this is because as a Michael, the color red is very important. It shows the youthfulness and the cuteness of a little girl. And actually you can see her bottom lip, only her bottom lip is painted, and this is actually because she's a first year Michael. So you can actually tell who's the first years if you maybe see them walking around. The thing is, you can see her bottom lip and also her accessories, this dangling accessories, that shows that she's a first year Michael. And moving on to her hairstyle. So that is her real hair, that is not a wig. So they have to go to a special hair salon once a week in order to get this hairstyle done, which means they cannot wash it or touch it for the whole week until the next appointment. And so in order to keep this hairstyle, they have a pillow, special pillow, which is about 15 centimeters high. ありがとうございます. And it's made out of wood at the bottom, but don't worry, they have a rolled up cushion. But they can only sleep at the size of their neck. So not on your back or anything, so as the hair does not touch the floor. And you can see she has this gorgeous accessories. The accessories and the kimonos, they change every month according to the season. So you can guess, actually in April they had the cherry blossoms on their hair and so on. ちょっと着物を見せていただいてよろしいですか? ありがとうございます. Okay, and moving on to her kimono. So this is called the furisode style with the long sleeves and the long hem. And you can see she has adjustments made on the sleeves. こう見せていただいてもいいですか? ありがとうございます. So actually the adjustments, it dates back as well. So back in the days when the profession of a Michael was done by very young children, so maybe at the age of 10, so they had to adjust the kimono for them to be able to be wear it. And the tradition is still carried on nowadays. すいません、じゃあちょっとお外でのお姿お願いしてもよろしいですか? ありがとうございます. So indoors they are allowed to drag it, but outside they would have to pick it up by their hand. And you can see she has a red kimono underneath. That shows that she's a Michael. So once they become a geiko, the color of the kimono usually changes to white or sometimes pink. So maybe if you're walking outside and see a Michael geiko walking, you can spot them by the color of the kimono underneath. ありがとうございます。後ろ姿お願いいたします。Okay, and moving on to her back. Can everyone see the shape at the back of her neck? Yeah? So the shape itself doesn't have a special meaning, but the reason why they do it is because back in the days, the beauty standard of a Japanese woman was to have a long and sexy neck. But not everyone is born with a long and sexy neck, so they had to paint it to kind of trick your eyes into thinking they have a longer neck. And so the Michaels, they do this by themselves along with their makeup, so they use 2 mirrors and they paint them by themselves. お化粧って今どれぐらいお時間かかります? 1時間ぐらい。わかりました。So once you get used to it, they say it takes about half an hour, but for her, she's still a fresher, so it takes about an hour for her to get the makeup done. Okay, and moving on to the long belt, you can see that is about 7 to 8 meters long, very long and very heavy. It's all wrapped around her. But so they need the help of a man to do it. But because they're professionals, they get everything done in about 15 minutes or so, pretty quick. And also talking about the weight of the kimono, in the summertime it's about 7-8 kilos. And in the winter it is about 15 kilos, so I believe that's about 30 pounds or so. ありがとうございます。なのでぽっちりお願いいたします。Okay, and last but not least, so this one accessory she has on that is called pochiri. and this could be one of the most expensive items in all of her outfit. And they say maybe you can buy an expensive foreign car with one pochiri, they say that. But so she stays in a house called Okiya House along with the other Maikos. So it's like a dormitory for Maikos. And they have a house mother taking care of them. The pochiri, the accessory, once belonged to the mother of the house, onto the older sisters, now onto her. So it's been in the house decades and decades. No one knows how much worth it is. But they're actually told when they go outside, when they're about to fall, they have to protect the pochiri and hit from their face instead. That's how important it is. Okay, so that's enough of me talking. We'll come to your table one by one for a chatting time. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Fourthly, she came and sat down with us. So this is the Maiko actually came down and sat with us with one of the hosts. And we talked for a few minutes in a semi-interview style. I didn't say much myself. It was mostly Dad. I just held the camera. Dad asked a lot of questions. When they turned to me, I didn't really have any questions to ask because I didn't really prepare for it. But I'm also like, what do you ask? Like, it just seemed kind of awkward, so I just kind of let it be. And we took a picture at the end. So here is that.
I'm fine. I hope you guys will be fine too. Just be careful.
We're more worried about you, so.
Professional. Are you okay with your drinks?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Now we've ordered.
Yeah. Okay. Where are you guys from?
Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, really? Melbourne, Australia からだそうです。I see. For how long are you traveling?
15 days.
15 days. 15日間。旅行してるらしくて。Whereabouts are you traveling around in Japan?
We've been in Tokyo for 4 days.
東京やったし。
Including a day in Nikko.
日光にも行ってって。
And we went to see the snow monkeys.
The snow monkeys? お猿さんも見に行ったらしくて。
And Matsumoto.
松本？松本にも行って。
And today we walked through a piece of
That's nice. So how long are you staying in Kyoto?
Just this afternoon and tomorrow.
Oh, really? Very short.
Yeah, I've been here twice before.
Oh, really? It's Kyoto?
Yeah.
京都にもうお兄さん2回いらっしゃったらしくて、だから京都、明日しか、京都はいないらしくて。
So I was here last spring.
Okay. 去年の春にも1週間ぐらいいたらしくて。So you got to see cherry blossoms?
Yes, I did actually.
Yes?
The very last day we were here.
去年も。
Really lucky. So.
Oh, that's good. 最後の方に桜を見れたらしくて、去年は。
My nephew lives in Osaka.
Oh, really?
So we're going to see his wife, married a Japanese girl.
Oh, that's good. Oh, good on him. なので大阪に甥っ子さんがいるらしくて、で女の子の日本人の方と、お付き合いしてるらしくて、That's nice. And first time in Japan?
First time in Japan, yeah.
How are you enjoying the first time in Japan?
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, you have to see a girl in kimono fall down the stairs. First thing, you know?
He didn't have his camera out.
I'm glad you didn't. First time in Japan, Tokyo.
It's nice. I'm suffering from the heat because we're coming from winter, so
オーストラリア今逆の気温天気の季節だから向こう寒くてだから日本に来て It's been pretty heated recently. 8度10度ぐらいから来たから Are you okay? Are you melting? Are you
I'm okay because I actually was in Greece for 10 days before I came here.
Oh, okay.
So I went there with my wife, went home, picked him up, came over here.
Oh, you must be knackered.
yeah, I'm surviving. Yeah, somehow.
Did you have like questions you wanted to ask us?
I'll start with one. Do you design your own makeup?
お化粧の方って自分で工夫っていうか自分でスタイルとかって決めたりするんですか？そうですね。やっぱり眉毛とかでも大体みんな同じ感じでちょっと So every Michaels, they are pretty much the same, but maybe the way they draw the eyebrows or how they put the eyeshadow, yes, it depends on everyone. So.
And what do your parents think about being like
両親と話して私なほちゃんが舞子さんになるってどういう反応でした？今はもうサポートしてくれてます。So her mother was very supportive from the start, but her father actually, because they don't go to high school, Michaels, so they only go up till 15, and afterwards it's the Michael. So he was like, you should go to high school, you know, finish your education, but her mother persuaded him. So now they're both very supportive.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
ご兄弟っていらっしゃいます？
姉が2人。
あ、そうなんだ。She has older sisters, two older sisters. 末っ子で。
And what do they think about it? What do they think about it?
ああ、お姉さんとかはどう思われてます？ああ、みたいな。They don't think much of it. You want it, it's okay. Did you have like a question?
Honestly, I don't. It's weird. It's even like the whole preparation for today. I'm thinking. I honestly have no idea. I think it's just kind of for me to just sit in and experience it and all this. Yeah.
And it's very rare you meet a fresh year Michaels well first year. Because you don't really see them often, and you won't be able to sit down with them and chat with them. So it's a very
People learn the trick.
Yes, exactly. なんか質問とかあったりします？海外とか行ったことあります？ She's never been outside of Japan, so maybe next stop over Melbourne. 次メルボルンね。いいかもしれない。オーストラリア。
We have a Japanese festival every year in February.
Japanese baseball?
Festival.
あ、フェスティバル。あ、そうなんだ。毎年2月にメルボルンでなんか毎年日本祭りみたいなのがあるらしくて。そうなんだ。What do they do? What's the festival?
It has different things. They did actually have a micro show one year, a couple of years ago.
Really? あ、数年前に萌子さんがいらっしゃったらしいです。そうなんだ。Yes, because they do have a business trip. Yes, 出張ありますもんね、萌子さんでも。Maybe next time you'll see としなほちゃん、もしかしたら。そうかもしれない。How's the food? Japanese food?
Yeah, it's good.
Did you have like a favorite? You've been here a couple of times.
To me, this is like I try different things now. So I've been taken into out of the way places, little restaurants around.
That's the best part. Yes.
Just trying. Let's just go in there and see what that's like.
日本料理も結構好きらしくて、もう本当になんかちっちゃなとこ、隠れてるようなとこを見るらしくて、あ、素敵だね。すいません。Well, I hope you find more of those restaurants and shops. Izakaya, you know? Izakaya, that's like the bars, like small bars.
Small bars. I haven't tried that yet.
Really? Well, you should.
Probably will with my nephew.
Yes, in Osaka. Osaka でおいこさんともしかして居酒屋とか行っても、because Osaka has the best food. You just have to eat every day. That's the business card. You get one if you meet Michael or Keiko. It says her name, Toshinaho. She said if you keep it in the wallet, the money will come. Oh, that's great. Did you want to get photos with her? Yes. お願いします。
Yeah, and so then of course we got that picture at the end, which was rather nice. So, you know, you had your interview with her, then you got a picture taken with you and her, and then she moved on to the next table. Lastly, we played two games, a hand game that involved tapping and grabbing a cup, of which I actually played, and will show you now as to the results.
And this is like a rhythmical game. So you can see you have the table and the cup between you two. ちょっと基本動作だけお願いします。So this is the basic movement. Right. You just have to keep hitting the cup one by one, but there's rules. Of course. Okay. So you can hit the cup with your open hand. You can take the cup anytime you want. If there is no cup, you have to place a fist on the table. Right. Okay. Ways to lose this game. Okay. If you place a fist on the cup, you lose. Number 1. Number 2, if you place an open hand on the table, you lose number 2. The last one, if you pick up the cup 4 times, so you can only take the cup 3 times in a row. So no more than that. Right. It seems difficult. It is difficult. So they'll actually show you an example first, and this goes along with the song. If you're not too busy eating, if you can clap along, that'll be great. We would love that. But they'll show you an example first. じゃあちょっとあれお願いいたします。コンピラ船船おいでにをかけてシュラシュシュシュ回れば四国は選手中の恋上手3個 Okay, so she loses. And if you win, you get a sticker of a Michael. If you lose, you'll have to drink either beer or tea. You have a choice of that. Maybe we'll have volunteers from each table if we can try. 大丈夫？見える？あ、大丈夫？はい、じゃあお願いします。Okay? So, どうぞ。Okay? 1, 2, 1, 2. 大きな船船おいでにをかけてシュラシュシュシュ回れば四国は三州中の森上手3本ピラ大根一度回ってコンピラ船船おいでにをかけてシュラシュシュシュ回れば四国は三州
That's a really surprise.
She'll give you a call.
It's like playing guitar.
Wait a bit.
She say something for you? Just read that note.
八幡と愛のやつ、若い京都名物、八つ橋舞とおいでやす。You're very strong. Thank you. ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. ありがとうございます。
I think I had a clip there showing demonstrating how they did it, how they played the game, but if not, then I guess it might be a little bit confusing, but for the most part, it's pretty much just tap and tap your hand, then tap your hand, grab it if you want to, then put it down, but you can grab it again. And of course, that's where I lost, because I didn't realize that she'd grabbed it a second time, and I didn't put my hand down like this onto the table, and I lost. And I realized that because the next person who played the game did the same thing, and lost because she grabbed it the second time, and there was no one actually played against her and beat her in that game, because I think the guy after me was the last person to play that game. But then we went on to, of course, because I lost, I drank a glass of beer. It was either that or tea, and oddly I prefer beer over tea, so there you go. Wasn't that much of a punishment. I know Dad had gone to a Geisha Night a few years back with Mum and Bronwyn, and they, I think that may have been their first trip to Japan, and it was close by, it was still in Kyoto, and they had 2 geishas plus an older lady who would play a particular type of instrument, which I think may have been mentioned in that interview. And that geisha, we actually found out, did end up become the woman there was actually a Maiko. Dad actually ended up finding out that she actually had become a geisha since they had seen her last, which is quite interesting to find out. But their Maiko and geisha actually gave them, I think, a pen or a set of chopsticks. It was something more delicate than a sticker, so I didn't mind losing. And so, because I mean, it was beer or a sticker, so it's like, I don't know, I didn't really mind. I got this little tag thing that's in my wallet now, which is her actual name, but I won't show that on screen, I guess, because I don't really want to. It's just a little red piece of paper, pretty much, that says her name. It's also kind of like a good luck charm. Then, you know, Dad actually played the second game, which was pretty much like paper, rock, scissors, but much more theatrical. So I'll show you the clip now.
It's like rock, paper, scissors game and a body gesture wise. So first off, you have the samurai with the spear. Samurai, onegaishimasu. The second one is the tiger on your knees. Onegaishimasu. Okay. And last one is the old lady with the cane. Okay. So you have 3 characters. So in this game, the samurai wins against the tiger. Yeah. The tiger wins against the old lady. Oba-san, onegaishimasu.
The old lady wins against everyone.
The old lady actually wins against the samurai because she's the mother of the samurai. Right. Okay. Is everyone okay with this? Understood? Okay. Well, this goes along with the song as well. The first half, I'd like you to come out, copy the dance moves of the Maiko. Second half, you go behind the wall, choose your character, and see who wins. Okay. This is much easier, don't worry. Okay, they'll show you an example first, like before. So, if you can clap along, that'll be great. じゃあちょっと前に出てもらっていいですか？では、例お願いいたします。トラトラトラ、千里もあるような藪の中、皆さん覗いて転じませ。金の鉢巻きが好きにはとらいがえんやらやととらえしくらものとらとらとらとらとらとらとらとらどうぞとらとらとらとら So Michael wins. Okay, so it's much easier to understand. Okay, how about sitting here? ありがとうございます。
That would make it more fun.
Okay, 大丈夫。はい。
Suck it, I get all the angles.
トラトラトラトラ、千里もあるような藪の中を皆さん覗いて転じます。金の鉢巻きが好きにはとらいがえやらやととらえしくらものトラトラトラトラトラトラトラトラどうぞトラトラ Oh no, what would you like? B or T?
Beer.
ビールでお願いいたします。待ってくださいね。You're very strong. You're very welcome to do so. ちょっとだけ写真撮られますね。すいません。Okay, so actually the song, the first one was about the sailing boat, the boat sailing and how the movement, the rhythmic, and the second one was about tora tora. It means tiger, tiger in Japanese, but it's about going through the woods, searching for the tiger, getting the tiger.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is it? There's a glasses, all the glasses are searching.
So it's you saw the lion, the tiger, and
okay.
catch it. Yes.
And the numbers?
The numbers, これの意味って何ですか？
So, of course, after Dad played and lost, the Maiko then left. I think there may have been one more person to play after Dad, but actually 2, and they both actually won. But then the Maiko said goodbye to all of us and left. And then we went home to experience more Japanese TV. And that is our story of the Maiko Night. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next part where I believe we go to a castle. We go... In the next video, we go to Nijo Castle and Nara, and even go to Osaka in the end, and see some Snoopy-related stuff. You know, the dog. Not my dog. The Snoopy character. Cool. So, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this more theatrical version, I guess. Again, I wasn't able to capture all the footage, but for the most part, I actually pretty much filmed everything I needed to, or felt like was worthwhile. I think just that introduction about her would have been nicer to have filmed, but it's just how it goes sometimes, because they didn't really prepare you for it. They weren't like, oh, if you want to get your cameras out now to film this part, it was more of they just expected people to take pictures, but I did ask, oh, are you okay if I film it? And they were. And then people were like, oh my god, they're filming, wow. You know, people were really interested in that stuff, especially the Maiko. She was really interested to see that I actually had a camera there. Or at least she visually seemed that way. She didn't actually say anything about it. But yeah, so stay tuned for more Japan. If you haven't already, there's a whole bunch more Japan videos. Outside of that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.